Welcome to Unleashing Happiness and happy Valentine's Day. I am super excited to use this Valentine's Day to talk to you about the ways that you can improve your self-concept through loving yourself and showing up for yourself and making sure that you fill your cup. I am giving truly specific, actionable things that you can start today to improve your self-concept and truly create a life that you love. I cannot wait to get started, and I am so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining me this day. And I wanted to be one of the first, or at least take a moment now, to wish you a very happy Valentine's Day. Whether you celebrate the holiday or just see it as a Hallmark holiday for a reason to get more gifts and sell more cards, I still hope that you are looking at the day full of love. And that's because today we're going to talk about self-love and really use this Valentine's Day to focus on the way that we're caring for ourselves, making sure that we're showing ourselves love. And that in turn actually changes the concept that we have of ourselves and the way that we view ourselves and the way that we're taking care of ourselves, which my personal philosophy is always that is such a core thing for you to start whenever you're on this journey. And even if you're someone who hates the term self-love or gets really frustrated when people talk about self-love, I want you to at least be open to the idea today that you can actually show yourself love, have some self-love, and really see it more as a self-respect and self-care. So truly, when we're giving ourselves love, it's that we're showing ourselves that we're worthy to show up for us, that we can take the time to be there for ourselves and to make sure that we are caring for us in the way that we need to be. And this can even go back to your habits, but it ties to your identity and the view that you have of yourself and the view of what you think you are deserving of in life and should be able to get, whether you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, happily single or not so happily single, whether you are looking at your relationship with your parents, your coworkers, your friends, your children, your spouse, your partner. It all really stems from the relationship that you have with yourself. When you are looking at yourself through an eyes of being frustrated or feeling like you're always treated a certain way that's not really kind of the way that you want to be treated or the things that you want to have in life, then that's actually what you're reflecting out to the world. That's your internal being, the internal way that you view yourself and the internal state and identity that you're holding. And so today, a lot of our focus is going to be on how you can become 1% better in the way that you're taking care of yourself and showing up for you, and what type of habits you can look at throughout your day to make sure that you are filling your cup, taking care of yourself, and really showing yourself love, self-respect, and self-worth. So my challenge to everybody for today and for the rest of this week is to decide on some areas that you would like to show yourself self-love or increase the self-respect that you're showing yourself. Increase the ways that you're showing up for yourself. And we're going to frame this back to our 1% better kind of tiny habits that we're looking at and saying, this is the stuff that I'm going to do to improve the way that I'm treating myself. And that can be treating yourself physically or treating yourself emotionally. If you're kind of beating yourself up with your words and inner conversations, then definitely focus on that. But if you are finding that you are physically not taking care of yourself, and at the end of the day, you're looking in the mirror and you're like, I feel and look tired. I feel and look like I am worn down and I don't like this. I don't like the way that I'm seeing myself right now. Then focus on that. But I want you to sit down and really think about an area that you can improve the way that you're showing yourself love. What is an area that you can start to give to yourself more to say, for this Valentine's Day, I'm going to give myself a little bit more in this area. And we're going to start super small because we wanted this to be sustainable and to continue on in the weeks coming so that you start to build on this and start to reflect in the way that you're treating yourself and deciding, I'm ready to level up. I'm ready to become more than what I am right now. I can even love myself right now and still have areas that I would like to change my life and I would like to get better in. And that's kind of where I am. I absolutely love myself. And I don't think that there's a reason to not share that. I think that I'm wonderful. I think that I'm smart, creative, thoughtful, kind, empathetic. And those are good qualities that I like to have. They're aligned with the values that I have. And I like myself. I like the person that I am. But there's still areas that I would like to show up more for myself, that I would like to do more for myself. I really look at myself as being in a state of continuous self-improvement. So I'm always learning. I'm always getting better in some area of my life. I always have something more that I can do. And this is not seen as a negative on myself. It's actually seen as a positive. So instead of my view of myself being, oh man, I have all this stuff that I need to fix and all these things that I can get better in, instead I see it as exciting. Like there's always something new that I can learn. There's always somewhere new that I can expand into and get better. And I see that as a really exciting framework or a really exciting challenge to myself. And I don't beat myself up for it because remember, throughout all of these processes, one of the biggest things we're going to focus on is self-forgiveness. We are not going to beat ourselves up for where we are currently. We are not going to beat up our bodies physically, emotionally, or mentally. We are going to learn how to love ourselves so that we can start to have more in our life that reflect love back to us. And I mean love in all kinds of ways, right? Not just romantic love, but love from the people that are in your life, the love that you feel for yourself, the love of your own success. Love is such a powerful emotion and such a powerful vibration to put out that the more that you can give it to yourself, the more that life just starts to work out so beautifully for you. So let's jump right into how this could look in your life for today, especially, but really the week coming up. So this is kind of your challenge to focus on from now until at least next Wednesday. And hopefully, because you've started this, you'll show that you have a domino effect of continuing to add things because it'll feel better and you'll start to feel better. But give it really 7 days. So what I'm going to first recommend for the actions that you're going to take is I want you to take a look at your day, the average kind of day that you live, and where is an area in your life that maybe you start to feel a bit more discouraged or a bit more down on yourself? Is it first thing in the morning? Are you waking up and feeling rushed and like you don't have time to put into yourself or even get ready? Is it more like mid-morning that you're feeling kind of melancholy and you're finding yourself just watching TV and very uninspired to get anything done? Is it during your evening that by the time you crawl into bed, you're just so exhausted that you've done nothing for yourself? Take a look at these kind of moments in time. I can tell you that mine was really midday. I had a morning routine and I had an evening routine that I felt really good about, but I noticed that during the middle of my day, I kind of had a lull. And what I would do is even if I was working for the day, I would find this kind of span that I was just sitting for too long and I wasn't being nearly as productive as I would like to be. I wasn't spending my time focused on the things that I want to focus on and getting the things done that I need to get done. So my productivity just completely tanked and I was really tired and I just was uninspired to really get anything done. And then it would kind of drift into a little bit later of my day until I had to pick up around dinner time. And so I really wanted to focus on that time of day for myself. I knew that was an area that I could start to show up more for myself and care for myself more and show some kind of self-love and some respect for me. And that would encourage me to be a little bit more peppy, have some more energy, and then also focus more on myself and the things that I needed to get done and be more productive because I feel really good when I'm productive. I have a 9 to 5. I'm a mom. I help care for my mother. I have the podcast and content that I'm creating. I'm working on a book. I have things to focus on. And so this lull in my day was just not really aligning to my goals or the person that I wanted to be. So I want you to consider an area of your day that maybe you start to have kind of those same feelings. Is there a point in the day that you hit that you say, man, I am just really worn out. I'm really tired. I'm not getting the things done that I want, and I'm starting to not be as focused on my goals, whether those are emotional goals or whether those are physical goals that you have. But if you find a point in the day that you're like, man, I kind of hit this time and definitely struggle, or I wake up and I automatically just feel really frustrated with the way things are going. I'm annoyed with the things that are happening in my life and my mind is just going crazy. So find that time of day for you. And we're going to actually work backwards from that. So here's what I want you to do. You make the choice of realizing this is your area that you want to focus on. Like mine was this midday slump. Well, I realized that once I hit that midday slump, I wasn't really going to be able to do much about it. Like I was already in it. And so I needed to look at the hours leading up to this midday slump. I needed to find a way to increase my energy and make sure that I had a plan so that when I was getting close to that time, I could change the routine that I was falling into. My cue, which we're going to go back to a habit loop, right? A habit loop starts with a cue, which is like your trigger to go do something. You fall into your routine and then you get some sort of reward. So we're going to focus on the cue and the routine for this conversation. So my cue was a specific time of day. Usually it would hit probably around like 11:30 noon. I tend to, with my work, have a lot of meetings in the morning. So my morning would be completely overloaded. And then I would hit kind of this slump of being like, oh man, all right, I've gotten myself out of the meeting slump. Now I need to focus on the tasks to do. And that was where I was kind of struggling. And I was just feeling overwhelmed with the things to get done. Plus, I was hitting a midday crash. So physically, my body at that point was also tired. So I wanted to take a look at my mornings and say, okay, how can I backtrack this to see the hours ahead that are affecting me now? And at this point, I realized that my morning was creating a bit of a lull for me later in the day. So I chose that in the morning, I was going to spend an hour really focused on myself, planning out my day, making sure that I did things that made me feel good and increased my energy. And this was the way that I was showing up for myself. I was doing love for myself and saying, I am worth this time. And I knew that this hour spent in the morning was going to pay me back tenfold throughout the day. So I really took a look at my morning routine and I realized that my routine was a bit frazzled and then it was also a bit lazy for me. And this was how I saw it. I spent too much time not getting dressed, just sipping coffee first thing and not focusing on taking care of myself and making sure that I had the intention and the vision for how I wanted my day to go. So I started to change the routine. I decided to start making sure that I got morning light as soon in the morning as possible. And I often wake up before sunrise, so sometimes I would do things before until the sunrise. But I knew that I wanted to get some light in the morning to kind of kickstart my mood, make sure that I was feeling good, and just really get me started for the day and realizing, okay, here's my day. I would also set an intention. So I knew that there was certain things that I wanted to get done and not really like an action kind of to-do list, but more like an intention of I want to focus on the tasks that I have at hand. I want to make sure that I am focused on my energy and that I move my body because I also realized that I was sitting for too long. Once I started my workday, especially when I had a bunch of meetings, I would sit for hours and it was like that would just drain me of all of my energy. I also made the drastic change to move how I was drinking my coffee. So what I ended up doing was delaying having a cup of coffee until about 45 minutes into my day. I wanted to be awake and start to drink water and do some movement and get the morning sun before I turn to coffee. And there's actually studies showing that this can help you continue to not have like a afternoon crash if you don't have caffeine first thing in the morning. And I know that for some people that works and for some it doesn't. For me, it definitely worked. I can tell the difference if I wake up and have a cup of coffee first thing in the morning compared to the days that I actually wait a little bit longer. So that was another shift that I made in my morning. And then the other thing that I did was I made sure to start getting movement in my morning. Even if it's just 10 minutes of doing a yoga, stretching, Pilates, getting up and doing some like jumping jacks, running in place, taking a walk with the dogs, depending on the weather, I really started to focus on making sure that I was moving my body in the morning. Now, I noticed that these shifts helped me for my 11 a.m. and I felt like I was taking better care of myself. I was showing up more for myself. And the other beautiful part about it is that it had a domino effect on my day. So then because I started my morning like that, I was more likely then to get some of my things done around the house or to be able to tackle my emails like a lot earlier or to make sure that I was able to focus on the things I needed to focus on. My mental clarity was better because I was actually actually shifting my state. So when you're doing these things, you're truly, how this ties into like the law of assumption, is that you're shifting your state from somebody who does something a certain way and views themselves a certain way, right? Like I was viewing myself as kind of lazy and tired and unmotivated and uninspired, to someone who was driven and focused and really working on the things that they wanted to and making sure that they were taking care of themselves. And this is the shift that I want you to focus on for this week. So find something that you would like to give yourself more love. And it could be something very simple that by the time you go to bed, you're feeling kind of defeated and not really good. And so you want to look a couple hours before and maybe make sure that you do a walk, or that you take a really nice bubble bath, or that you do some positive affirmations. It can be very small, but start showing up for yourself. And the most amazing thing that happens is this domino effect of the way that you want to focus. Like I started then to change how I was spending my drives. Instead of listening to music that maybe wasn't really aligned to the way that I wanted to live and the way that I wanted to view the world, I started listening to more podcasts that I found really uplifting. I found other women that were teaching about habits and really great ways for me to shift my mindset and to focus on my goals and to really elevate myself into this person that I want to be and this life that I want to lead. And I started listening to those instead. And when I'm starting my day like that, it just continues throughout the day. It continues to have a domino effect of me just feeling really, really good. And if you read any of the habit books, they talk about it as a keystone habit. So when you have these keystone habits, they're ones that are kind of really embedded into your identity and the person that you are. And those start to affect the rest of your day. They start to affect the decisions and the actions that you do. They start to affect the routines that you're comfortable keeping and the ones that you're not. And that's why it's so important to start so small and to make sure that you are showing up for you and that you're showing yourself that you're worth all of this, that you have the ability and the capability to get this done. And as a reminder, the more you take care of yourself, the better partner to anybody in your life that you are, your coworkers, your boss, your children, your family. Everybody around you benefits from you taking more care of yourself. I wanted to make sure that I added something else that I started to do that was really helpful to me, is that I did a list of things called productivity breaks. And I actually learned this from Shelby Sacco's podcast, Sad to Savage. She had a really great podcast series on how to improve your habits and really focus on the areas in life that you can make some changes. And she completely changed her life. It was absolutely remarkable to see the changes that she's had. And she's just a really fun, upbeat personality. And I've really enjoyed listening to her. But one of the things that she talked about was having productivity breaks. And she would write a list. And if you haven't noticed yet, I am all about the lists, right? And making sure that you're focused on doing your daily joys and that you have a list of things that you want to get done and that you know what your goals are. I just think putting it into writing really makes it easy to focus on it and to remember it each and every day because you've written it out and you can look back on it. So that's why I really enjoy writing stuff out. But she did a list of productivity breaks. And what she would do is say, okay, when I have these kind of downtimes and I need to get up and move and get something done, what's a productivity break that I can do? And so I have a list of them that, I can go through, put in a load of laundry, write some in my book, unload the dishwasher, reload the dishwasher, take the dogs on a quick walk. There's all these things that you can do. One of the ones that she recommended that I think is great, but I have yet to make that much of a habit that I should, is like going around all the bathrooms and cleaning out the trash. I also like to go out to my car and clean out, stuff that's been left in my car throughout the week. Those are kind of things that you can do. And then when you're starting to know that you're getting close to your lull time and you know that that trigger of that time is coming up for you, then instead you can focus on that. So you're reframing the routine and changing what that trigger is for you. So instead of that trigger being that you're just going to sit and zone out and not get anything done, now the trigger is that you're going to actually focus on your productivity breaks. So that is your challenge or goal for this week, and especially for today on this beautiful Valentine's Day, is to focus on the areas that you are starting to see a lull in yourself, or you're starting to feel down, or you just don't feel like your cup is filled anymore. It's completely depleted by this point in the day. Backtrack it to what you can change and the ways that you can show up more for yourself. And remember, this is Valentine's Day. It is a perfect day to start showing yourself love, showing up for yourself, and really start improving your life through these small changes. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will be back on Monday with your mindset motivation. We will be reading chapter 3 of Neville Goddard's Feeling is the Secret. If you missed the other two, go back in my episodes the past 2 Mondays. I've done chapter 1 and chapter 2. And also, as a quick reminder, on my YouTube channel, I've been doing a series of creating a life that you love. Those videos are out and more are coming. So I'll leave the link for that playlist down below as well if you would like to check that out. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. Happy Valentine's Day once again, and I will be back soon. Thank you so much again for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely please share it out with your network. That is truly one of the best compliments that you can give me. And if you have a moment, if you could please rate and review the episode, that definitely helps me get out to more people.